Right guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm just going to be showing you how to remove and install a Sram 4 CX1 1x chain set on your bike. So I'll go ahead and we'll get on with it. Right, so here we have the chain set CX1 4 Sram. Now the first step you want to do is obviously remove your chain from the bike. It's better to take the chain right out of the way for this. Right, so when it comes to removing the CX1 Sram cranks, basically it's done from the non-drive side. So you've got a cap on the end there, as you can see. Now that has actually got both a 10mm on the outside there and an 8mm that goes inside like that. So what you do is you leave the 10mm in place, that's just a cap on there, and you get your 8mm and you put it inside like so, and then when you're holding on to the crank arm and your bar at the same time, it's anti-clockwise to undo it, so you can go ahead and undo your arm. Now it might be quite tight, so the first time you've done it, if you haven't had it off before, so undo it like so, and then you can keep on winding it out, and as you're doing that, it's effectively, it's a nut inside a nut basically, so the inside nut is pulling against it and it's pulling the crank arm off of the splines on the inside. So you just keep undoing it like so, and then it will come off like that, and there you have it, off of the splines. Right, so the next step what you want to do is, the splines on the end there, if it comes out you can just push it through with your fingers. If not, just give it a tap with a soft blow hammer on the end. Don't hit it with a normal hammer obviously to damage it, but you should be able to just push it through with your fingers like so, until it starts coming out the drive side. As it comes through it will just be loose inside. As it goes through, be careful if you got the washer come off like so, then just remember, put it to one side safe, or just put it back on there for now. Then you can keep on extracting it out of the drive side. So if you get hold of it on that side and just gently pull it through. So to refit this, obviously make sure that you greased the shaft there. Pay attention to where the bearings are going to sit, which is there and over here. So make sure you've got grease on them, and just grease the rest of the shaft, because when you slide it through it just helps it go through. So make sure that's all greased, and like I say, pay particular attention there to where the bearing's going to sit. Make sure it's clean, fresh grease, plenty of it as well, doesn't do any harm. So you slide it through from the drive side, so it should go through easy, and at the end there's the washer I was on about, so make sure that that's back on there, the cover over the end of the bearing there, just make sure that's in place before you carry on. So we got that on. Then you've got your non-drive side crank arm, which looks like so, like I said earlier. And I'll show you the 10, you can use a 10mm, and that just undoes that cover on the end. So you can actually remove that cover. I'll just show you now. You don't need to do this. Like I said, when I remove it, you don't need to take that cover off. Behind it is just a bolt with the 8mm inside it. So there you can see an 8mm there. which again is sat in there, so you can just pull that out and it's got a washer on it like so. So that just sits in there like so, and does up with the threads do up into the end of the spindle sticking through there. And then when you remove it, you just put the 8 through the middle of the 10, so the 10 would be there, the hole for the 10mm with the cover over the end. That goes through and goes into that one, and when you undo it, because of the shape of it and the shape of the back of that, then this comes through, pushes on here and pulls the crank arm off. So that's how that works. As I say, you do that, you can leave that in situ, but I just thought I'd take it apart just to show you what was in there, just in case you was wondering. So it's always worth checking as well. There's plenty of grease on the threads of it, and plenty of grease where the splines sit on there, so you can't have enough. If you don't think there's enough, just put some more on there, because it will help you next time you want to take it apart. So when you've done that, you can put this back on. Like I said, that cover is just a cover that goes over there. That can be on there. I was just taking it off to show you, you can thread that on. We're interested in the one that's in the middle, the 8mm through the middle, like so. See? So obviously, whichever direction your crank arm's pointing, if you just point it down towards the ground, then you want it the opposite way. Unless you're riding in the circus. So what you got to do is get that on there and get it lined up in the right place, like so. Make sure it's on in the right direction. Then you can turn it back if you want to, like that. And then get your thread started, make sure it's starting cleanly, the 8mm. And you can see the crank arm being pulled back on there. So once you've done it up a bit by hand, then you get your bar on it, or your hex head, whichever you've got, and you can start doing it up. You want to do it up basically till it stops moving. So once it stopped moving, the torque on the 8mm is 48 to 54 Newton meters, so it's a fair amount. So as soon as it stopped moving, snug it up tight, and then remove it. If you slacken that at all, then make sure that's just nipped up. The 10mm, that's only 12 to 15 Newton meters on the 10. So if you've slackened it, like I said, you don't need to. You can leave that alone, the 10mm. But if you have had it off for any reason, then you can just nip that back up, like so. And what you want to do is check, after you've done this, check there is no play side to side. Rock the crank arm backwards and forwards, grab the end of the crank arm and rock it. Make sure you can feel no play in it at all. You don't want to feel any side to side movement, up and down, side to side. You don't want to feel any play in it. And the crank, it should spin nice and freely. It should move nice and freely. It shouldn't be tight or anything like that. It should just spin nice, like so. Ever so easy to move. You don't want to feel any play in it if it's tight in any way, then you're pinching the bearings up. If this is tight, then that's what's happening. You're doing it up and you're just pinching the bearings, you're putting load on them, and that's no good. Obviously that's a spacing issue you've got if that occurs. More than likely a spacing problem. So once you're happy with it, there's no play in it, then you've installed it, it's ready to put your chain on. Right, so that's all the steps complete for you. If you found the video helpful in any way, give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel for more cycle related content. Until the next one, ride safe and I'll see you then.